case against Sean Diddy Combs.
Sean Diddy Combs.
I'm Sean Diddy Combs.
Well, Sean Diddy Combs.
They won't even give me a permit for the parties, man. They don't want me to throw the parties no more.
We have some breaking news. A jury will not be picked today in the Sean Diddy Combs trial.
Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. The following contains sworn federal courtroom testimony presented for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is the verbatim report of Day 3 of the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs, as documented by Inner City Press. Day 3 was already drawing national headlines, but no one, not even the prosecution, could have predicted what happened next. In a moment that will be studied in law schools and entertainment boardrooms alike, the prosecution introduced a never-before-heard audio recording made by Prince just weeks before his death. And when that voice, the unmistakable, haunted voice of the late music icon, filled the courtroom, everything changed. Prince named names, described private parties, and detailed what he claimed he personally witnessed behind Diddy's closed doors. The room fell still, but it was Diddy's reaction that changed the trajectory of the entire trial. His mask cracked. He lost composure in front of jurors. He exploded, forcing the judge to threaten contempt of court. This wasn't Twitter chatter. It wasn't gossip. It was federal evidence. And from that moment on, the tone of the trial was never the same. What Prince recorded, what he said, may be the very thing that brings everything crashing down. The day started like the two before it, but something in the room was different. The air felt charged, buzzing. Legal teams moved with urgency. Reporters scrambled for seats, tense and restless. Even court staff whispered, "Today's going to be bad for someone." They were right. They just didn't know how bad it would get. Diddy entered the courtroom as he always had, polished, calm, a perfectly tailored navy suit, a flicker of his trademark smirk. He nodded at the gallery. His team was focused, passing papers, whispering quietly. Everything looked normal, until it didn't. Near the prosecution's table, two technicians entered silently, carrying unfamiliar equipment, a black audio device, a laptop, wires. One technician nodded to the lead prosecutor, who kept his eyes on the table, carefully avoiding Diddy's gaze. Something had changed. Diddy didn't notice. He looked relaxed, even smug, but those watching closely, they could tell something was coming. Then the judge walked in. He opened with a rare statement. "Today's evidence may provoke strong reactions. I expect complete composure." He paused and looked directly at Diddy. The tension was thick. Then it began. The prosecution stood and asked to present new audio evidence. The defense immediately objected. They hadn't been warned. No notice, no disclosure. They accused the prosecution of sandbagging, but the judge had already reviewed the paperwork. It was legal, properly submitted. The ruling came swift and hard. The evidence may be played. Then the prosecutor said the words that hit like a lightning strike. "You are about to hear the final private recording made by Prince Rogers Nelson." The courtroom froze. Every phone hit the floor. Every journalist stopped typing. Even Diddy blinked, eyes darting toward his lawyers, confused. "What is this?" The prosecutor pressed play. It wasn't the flamboyant, fearless Prince the world knew. It was something else. A quiet, low, uneasy voice. "I'm making this recording because I don't know who I can trust anymore." A chill ran through the courtroom. This wasn't a performance. It was a confession. Prince detailed parties, Diddy's private gatherings, held at properties in Miami, the Hamptons, Los Angeles. What he described was deeply unsettling. Young artists, separated from their handlers, encouraged to drink, to take pills. Rooms locked from the inside, cameras hidden in chandeliers. No security allowed in. The same exact pattern Cassie Ventura described during her testimony. But Prince wasn't vague. He named names, mentioned specific dates, like a party in December 2015 in Beverly Hills. And the behavior he described matched other witness accounts word for word. But what made it terrifying? Prince wasn't guessing. He knew what he was saying. "If something happens to me," he said, "this recording needs to go to the press or the police." Either one. Diddy's posture changed. His smile was gone, eyes narrowed. He stopped whispering to his lawyers. He leaned forward, hunched, his face pale. Jurors began watching him, not the tape. Then Prince dropped the line that broke the room in half. "These aren't just parties, they're traps." The silence was so complete. You could hear Prince breathing between his words. In the back row, a woman cried. A reporter dropped her pen. Even Diddy's attorney placed a hand on his client's arm to calm him. Diddy pulled away. After a brief recess to regain control of the courtroom, the judge instructed the prosecution to resume playback of the Prince recording. But the atmosphere had changed. No one whispered, No one typed. Even the court sketch artist had paused, pencil suspended midair. All eyes were locked on the speakers. Prince's voice once again filled the room, steady and slow. He spoke of what he called an organized system of manipulation that he claimed to have seen firsthand. He said it wasn't just parties and excess, but something far more sinister. What I've seen, it's not something you can just forget. He said, they make it seem glamorous, but I've watched it ruin people. Prince detailed the layouts of specific rooms, the color of furniture, the design of fixtures, names of guests. The information matched testimony already provided by Cassie Ventura and other unnamed witnesses. Then came perhaps the most chilling segment, Prince talking about NDAS and hush payments. I've seen the contracts. I've seen the money change hands. 2 million here, 1.5 million there. And I've seen what happens to the people who try to leave. They disappear, not physically, but musically, socially, gone. The camera cut briefly to Diddy. Still seated, but unmoving. One of his lawyers passed him a tissue. He didn't take it. Then another bombshell. I warned him at the Grammy after party. I told him this is going to catch up to you. He told me, you might be Prince, but I own this game. People like you don't change it. They get erased. That line reverberated through the courtroom. Diddy didn't react outwardly, but his jaw visibly tensed. A juror shook her head. Another leaned back as if hit by a sudden wave. This wasn't just testimony. This was a character demolition from someone with nothing to gain, from someone who couldn't be cross-examined. Prince, from beyond the grave, was crafting a picture of Diddy not as a flawed man, but as a manipulator with a carefully built fortress of secrecy. The prosecution wasn't even halfway through the tape. If you've ever watched a trial collapse in real time, this was that moment. Cassie Ventura had laid the foundation. Prince lit the match. Now the jury wasn't just listening, they were feeling. Prince then addressed his own fears. I didn't speak out during my life because I saw what happened to those who did. They lost contracts, got dropped from tours, disinvited from awards. It's not just power, it's fear, and fear keeps everyone quiet. He described attending a party where he believed guests were being secretly recorded. I saw cameras in the chandelier, he said. I mentioned it to a producer. He shrugged and said, that's just how it is. Implication, blackmail, surveillance, control, and it matched stories that had long been whispered about footage, vaults, leverage, nothing proven until now. I documented it, Prince said. I've got files, hard drives, tapes, photos, all dated, all organized. I gave copies to 3 people. If anything happens to me, check with them. The courtroom absorbed it in stunned silence. Prince wasn't speculating, he was testifying, like a whistleblower. And then came the closing words. I spent my life protecting my music, but now I realize it's the people who needed protection, and no one was doing it. Not really. Not when it mattered. The audio clicked off. Silence. Real silence. The judge didn't speak. Neither did the lawyers. Then the prosecutor stood and calmly said, "No further questions, Your Honor." She didn't need to say anything else. Prince had spoken, and the courtroom would never be the same. Court was adjourned for the day, but the fallout was immediate. Diddy's lawyers filed an emergency motion to suppress the Prince recording. They claimed it was unverifiable, that Prince couldn't be cross-examined, that it was prejudicial, but they knew. Everyone knew. The jury had heard it, and worse, they had watched Diddy crumble during it. Legal analysts outside the courtroom wasted no time. You don't recover from something like that, one said. The jury didn't just hear a dead man accuse him, they watched him lose control. Inside, reporters observed Diddy. He barely spoke, sat hunched over the defense table. His lawyer leaned in to whisper. He didn't respond. For the first time in the trial, Diddy didn't look like a mogul. He looked like a man cornered by truth. But the most damning reaction came not from Diddy, but from the jury. As they were dismissed, 3 jurors lingered. One shook their head. Another stared at Diddy as if seeing him for the first time. A third looked visibly disturbed. Jurors are told to rely only on facts, but no one can unhear the voice of a cultural icon pleading for justice. And no one can unsee a defendant's carefully crafted mask being ripped away in real time. Prince hadn't just testified, he had reshaped the narrative. And the scariest part? He said there was more. The day after the tape played, the court resumed. But everything had changed. There were whispers that Prince's vault, long rumored to contain unreleased music, might hold more recordings, not just songs, but files, photos, documents. A source close to the prosecution hinted, "We believe Prince was documenting something much bigger. This may not be the only tape." The entertainment industry held its breath. Who else might be mentioned? What other names were in that vault? Because this trial wasn't just about Cassie Ventura anymore. It wasn't just about NDAs, freak-offs, and cover-ups. It had become a referendum on the culture Diddy helped build. And thanks to Prince, that culture now had a voice of resistance. Investigators are now pursuing subpoenas related to Prince's estate. They are seeking hard drives, journals, notes, evidence. If authenticated, this material could spark new charges, new cases, new headlines. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team remains in damage control mode, filing motions, contesting admissibility. But the truth, the jury already heard it. The public heard it, Diddy heard it, and he broke. Now, as the trial moves forward, one question echoes louder than ever. What else is hiding in Prince's vault? And more importantly, who will it expose next?